Lovely. Well, welcome to the first meeting of our new season, September 6th, 2023. And that just remains for me to hand you over to Christian. Christian, I'm so excited that you are opening this new season. Most of you know Christian because he's spoken to us many times in the past. I have living proof. I have my notepad. I have my pencil, because you always manage to teach me stuff. And I'm particularly, of course, fascinated in photography. So with that, I will stop my share and hand the meeting over to you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, good. I'm just doing one quick thing. Yes, I'm ready. All right, so stand by here. Let me just do one quick thing. I just thought of one more slide that might be better. Okay, so first of all, how nice to be back, given the Wednesday morning NMUG class. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about taking pictures with your iPhone, and we all probably know how to do that, but we're going to learn how to do it better today. Before I start, I really ought to say thank you again to all of you for showing up, and to Sheeta for doing what she does, and Eckert and Mike. It's you guys make it very easy for me. So anyway, grateful to you. Okay, so let's just get rolling here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do what we always do. I'm going to do a little bit of slides, and then I'm going to do it live, which gives me a chance to have some terrible mistakes, and then you can see how I get out of them. Okay, so let's, and questions and answers. If we're going to have questions, we probably are. Put them in the chat. Send them into the chat, and Sheeta will stop me. I actually have 3 or 4 good stops in the talk, and we can when I get to one of them, we'll take the questions then. Okay, so try to keep the questions about what we've talked about so far, because if you have a question about something that we haven't talked about yet, maybe I'm going to talk about it later. So let's just let's do it like that. Okay, so here I go. I'm sharing a screen, I think.
You are?
Right? Yes, you are.
Okay,
yes,
good.
You are.
Okay, so how to take better pictures with your iPhone. Okay, well, let's talk about what we're talking about. All right, first thing is, actually, it's easier to talk about what we're not talking about. We're not talking about editing your pictures. Okay, editing is a great topic, and maybe I'll do that someday for you. So maybe someone else will do it, but that's a totally different thing. What I want to do is start out with a good picture. Let's take good pictures to begin with that don't need a lot of editing. All right, so we're going to be using iPhone 14 Pro and the native camera app. So nothing extra here. You don't have to buy any different app. There are other apps for taking pictures on the phone. They all seem to have names like Camera Pro. There must be 20 of those, but you don't need another camera app. You just need to know how to use this one better. So that's what we'll do today. So we're gonna break this into parts. There's gonna be kind of the artsy part, and I'm almost afraid to have Mike here to watch, because he's probably going to cringe at my sort of junior level artsy framing and composing. But the stuff I show you is going to help you make better pictures to begin with, even if you don't have a huge artsy background like I don't. But it helps me. It'll help you too. Then we're going to talk about the different ways that you can take a picture. You probably think you know how to take a picture. You get the camera app open and you tap the little shutter button, but it turns out there are a whole lot of other ways to do it, and sometimes one of those other ways is the better way to do it. We're going to talk about the camera controls. These are the controls that you see when you're taking a picture, when you've got the camera app up. There's all kinds of controls. There's controls for exposure. There's controls for focus. There are controls for a timer. But then there are a whole bunch of other things which are called settings, and the settings are not in the camera app. These are settings that are in the settings app. So you have to go 2 places to get this all figured out. We're going to go to both those places. And in the end, if we, I believe we'll have time, we'll talk about some extra things that will help you do even better iPhone photography. All right, so let's start with the very, very basics. So when you're using your iPhone, it turns out across the bottom there are a whole bunch of modes, and a whole bunch of them are video. And we're going to skip all of those. We're not going to talk about video at all. Mainly, we're going to talk about photo, the photo mode. When it says photo down there in the yellow letters, that means we're in the photo mode. There is portrait mode. Portrait mode is a good mode. It lets you blur the background basically and do a sort of artificially enhance the lighting, and it's great. And if we have time, we'll look at that. We'll see how that goes. And also panoramas. These are the ones that take pictures. All the other modes, video, cinematic, slow-mo, those are video things. That's another class. That's not us today. So mostly we're going to do this one. We're going to do photos, and we'll see what happens time-wise. Okay, so let's talk about composition. So when you take a picture, it's tempting to just point and click, and it works. But we can do better than that. We can sort of arrange the things in our picture by moving around and aiming our iPhone up and down. And first thing we're going to learn about here is the so-called rule of thirds. So the idea is that if you take a picture of something and your subject's right in the middle, it's fine. But if it's off to the side a little bit, maybe down a little bit or up a little bit, it seems more interesting. And it's just a psychological thing, but it seems to work. And so we're going to see about that. So where you want to put your subject, if you can, is in one of these intersections. Now, you can't really see those lines. I just drew these lines in red on top, but there were grid lines there that can show you where you might want to position your subject. So let me show you how we get to that. The lines are very faint. I don't think you would see them in the presentation, but we're gonna go and find them in the settings app now. And so I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to I'll show you here in the settings that there's something called grid, but let's just do it for real. Here's my iPhone, and it's not on yet, but we're going to get it on. Let's see. Come on, iPhone. It's nice if this works. There it is. Okay, so here's my iPhone. I'm going to go to the settings app. And one of the weird things about the settings for the camera is you might think they'd be sort of near the top. Here's some old friends we know. We know General. We go there all the time. Display and brightness. That's nice. But where is the camera? You see all this other stuff. Camera. Finally, here's the camera. So the first little lesson here is to know where the camera app's settings are. They're way down here. And so I'm going to touch the camera now, and we're going to see these settings. And you can see here, we can turn on the grid or we can turn off the grid. Mine was on. I'm going to turn it off again. So I'm going to show you with it off. Let me just go to the camera app now. And so if you look at my screen here, you don't see any grid. You see a sort of a dirty keyboard. But I'm going to go back to the settings. I'm going to turn on the grid, and maybe, just maybe, you see these very faint lines. If I point to something that